Hello and welcome back to our LORIOT tutorials. My name is Attila, and in today's session we're going to connect our first LoRaWAN gateway to the network server. So, if you want to learn how to connect your first gateway, stick around and let's jump in. Okay, so let's log into the user's interface of the network server, and in this session we're going to focus on networks. A network is a logical grouping of your gateways, and you may want to group your gateways into different networks based on a customer or user, location, or even the use case itself. By putting gateways into these different networks, it will make it easier to manage when we start to scale up and add more and more gateways to the network. A sample network is created by default, but if you wanted to create your own network, simply go to New Network, allow the location if you want it to populate it for you, and then you can add a name and create a new network. In our example, we'll use the existing sample network. Now you'll see that the network is essentially empty because we need to add our first gateway to the network server. To do that, it's a very simple process. We can go to Add a Gateway, and here you will see a list of gateways from all the major manufacturers that are supported by the LORIOT Network Server and importantly are fully integrated with the LORIOT Gateway software. The LORIOT Gateway software is essentially a custom-built packet forwarder that LORIOT builds and maintains. The network server can interface with LoRaWAN gateways using three different packet forwarders. One is UDP packet forwarder, the other one is Semtech Basic Station, and the last, but most important, is the LORIOT Gateway software. Since we build and maintain this ourselves, we can have a very tight integration between the gateway and network server and add additional security management and alerting layers to that integration. The best alternative for gateways that are not integrated is Semtech Basic Station, due to its security, its reliability, and versatility. If you'd like to learn more about the differences between the LORIOT packet forwarder and UDP packet forwarder, you can go to our documentation hub at docs.lorio.io. So, jumping back into the user interface, we're going to add a multitag access point 300 series gateway. So let's select that particular gateway model. Now, although in this example we are using the MTCAP3, most of the gateways that are integrated with the LORIOT Gateway software follow the same basic installation steps in order to connect them to the LORIOT Network Server. There are some models in the market, such as the MileSite UG67 and 65 or the Robust LR3000, that have different methods to add the LORIOT Gateway software to those gateways, such as through a user web interface, or even have the LORIOT Gateway software preloaded onto the gateway. Now, to provision the gateway, there is a few configuration options we have to enter. For example, the radio front end and the bus, and some models may even have some different options here, so it's good to check with your manufacturer which particular version you have. The network server itself recognizes and identifies a gateway by its Ethernet 0 MAC address, so in order to register a gateway, we have to copy and paste that into there. The last step is to add the location if we want to, which will auto-populate if you have allowed your browser to know your location, or you can manually add the address of the particular gateway. Once you have done that, you can simply go to register the gateway. So now that we have registered our gateway on the network server, you'll be redirected to the gateway management page, where we'll essentially see some key indicators about our gateway, as well as a lot of additional granular details about traffic, radio history, system event logs, and alerts. Now, we simply need to add the LORIOT Gateway software to our MTCAP3. Most gateways will run on Linux distribution, and in order to install and initialize the LORIOT Gateway software, we have to access the command console of the gateway. In this example, we're going to be using PuTTY. Once we have accessed the console, we can go then and run these 4 commands, which essentially download our gateway software from the network server, install it, and then run the program to connect your gateway to the LORIOT Network Server, at which point it will then become online. So, let's go through those steps and jump into PuTTY in order to connect to the command console. Now that we have opened up PuTTY, in order to SSH to our gateway, we need to know the gateway's IP address. You can use an IP scanner tool to essentially look up the IP address of your gateway on your network. Once we have got the IP, we can paste it into the correct field, then using port 22 to open up a channel to the gateway console, we can access the gateway. At this stage, you'll need to log into your gateway, so it's always good to check with your gateway's manufacturer regarding your username and password. Now that we have logged into the gateway console, we can take the commands from the network server interface and paste them into the console. Let's select the folder. Then we can instruct the gateway to download the binary, install it, and finally we can then run the self-extracting installer and instruct the gateway to connect to the network server. Great, so at this point we have added the LORIOT Gateway software to the gateway. You'll soon see in a minute or so that the gateway will be online within the user interface. So going back to the gateway management page, we have given it some time, we have refreshed it, and now we can see that the gateway is connected to the network server. As you can see, we already have some metrics that we can take a look at. For example, the latency of the connection between the gateway and the network server, when it last connected, and a whole host of additional management features that are available on the left, including things like alerts for online, offline status, high latency, configuration changes, and so on. All these things that you guys can explore in your own time. In the next session, we're going to see how to provision a gateway as basic station, so if you're interested, join me in the next session, and I will catch you on the flip side.